Schneider, please.
Shalom. My name is Yisrael Schneider. I want to talk about Rav Kahana. I had some connection with him, quite slight, but he did speak to me on the last Yom Kippur of his life. I davened in his minyan. There were only 10 people there in his yeshiva, Rehov Shmael, on Yerushalayim, Yeshivat Rayon HaYehudi. In any case, first let me say that I think we have to try to be serious. It's very important to be serious. The pasuk says, "Shivisi Hashem lenegdi summit." And the Talmud tells us in Maseches Avodah Zarah, the first parak, that this is talking about tefillah. That when we daven, we have to imagine that Hashem is before us. And Reb Chaim says in his Chidushim on the Rambam that it's ma'akev. He says this is kahana, this is the main kahana. But you have to know you're speaking to Hashem, and Hashem is really there. And if you don't have this kahana, then it's ma'akev. Okay, but the Rambam writes in the Sefer Moreh Nevuchim, and the Ramah brings them in the first sif of the Shulchan Aruch, that Shavis Hashem and Negdi Summit. Summit is really always, the according to the Gemara, Talmud is referring to the Tefillah, right? Because Tefillah is connected to Midon, Tiknum. Right? The Tefillah is to Talmud, they call them Talmud. But according to the Rambam, I guess the Rambam must have had some source in the Medrash, I don't know if this source is known. In any case, the Rambam says Shavis Hashem and Negdi Summit was always. And the Ramah brings it. This is the first sif in the Shulchan Aruch. Yeah, we have to know that we're standing before Hashem, and therefore we cannot be frivolous. This means we have to be serious. This is a big makor of being serious. You're sitting in front of Hashem. Yeah, and we Westerners believe in this also. It's in the first kapitel of the Tikkun HaKlal, Shavis Hashem and Negdi Summit, right? So it's important to us. Okay. So we have to be serious. And I want to talk about Rav Kahana because I think Rav Kahana was a very, very serious person. He was not cynical. He was not frivolous. He was serious. Ad kedei kach, that is, I think Rav Kahana was a bechinas Navi. The Nevi'im were the most serious people who ever lived. Hashem spoke to them. If Hashem speaks to you, you become very serious. You have to be very serious before he will speak to you. Right? Shavis Hashem and Negdi Summit is on the part of the person. It's Arusa de Sata that he imagines he's standing before Hashem. He's living before Hashem. But if Hashem actually speaks to you, that's the Arusa de Leili. He's making you very, very serious. Okay. So Rav Kahana was Bechinas Navi, and I want to talk about two inyanim. One inyan is a symbolic protest. We see that in the Nevi'im they did symbolic acts, and like by the Goyim, I remember years ago when Lithuania was
Again, Rabbi Yisrael, a symbolic act. In Rav Moshe Wolfson, it's called a Poel Dimyoni.
Right, a Poel Dimyoni. But again, there's a symbolic act and there's a symbolic protest. This has to be studied. I'm not that lucky. All the acts of the Nevi'im protests, in other words, it means that the Navi is standing against the Melech, usually, right? The Melech is acting bad, and that includes all levels of government. And we know today there's constant protests in the state of Israel. It just doesn't stop for a second. It's kulam keneged kulam. And the Navi is protesting. He's doing a symbolic act. Okay. So it's more than a Paul Dimini. Sometimes Right. In other words, by Elisha, he shoots the arrows. There, it's not a protest. There it is just by shooting the arrows. He's, that act is going to help the people of Israel overcome their enemies. Okay, but in many instances, it's a symbolic protest. But what the Navi is doing, Yechezkel is lying on his side to show the people, why am I doing this? Because there's something wrong, and something has to be done. You have to do tshuva. Okay, so I was about to say that I remember years ago in Lithuania, somebody committed suicide, a young adolescent, I think, teenager, burned himself to death in public as a protest against the Soviet occupation of Lithuania. And I remember in the Vietnam War, the government was against the Buddhists, and some Buddhist priests burned themselves to death. Okay, that's not shaykh to us, but it's an extreme example of a symbolic protest. That it's supposed to wake people up. And then you have in America, you have the story of John Brown, that he attacked Harper's Ferry. His son was killed in a shootout, and he was hung. I don't think he expected to free the slaves literally, but he was so enraged at slavery that he took this symbolic act of attacking the forces of the government, and the battle for him as a republic is just John Brown's body lies moldering in the ground, but his spirit marches on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. And this is exactly kahana chai, that mamish the same thing. That of kahana, I think most of the things he's doing were just symbolic. He knew he couldn't bring down the state of Israel, the secular government, and he was enraged by the way the government was dealing with the Arabs and many, many other things, and he wanted to be in the Knesset so he could be a Navi Mochiach Bashar, and he gave his life for this to symbolically tilt against the windmills and say, wake up, we have to go with the Torah, have a Medinat HaTorah. Okay, that's one meaning of Rav Kahana, the symbolic protest as a Navi. And the second union has to do with the Geula, because the last Navi, Malachi, he signs off, he says at the end of the Nebuah, Hine anoichi shelech lachem es Eliyahu hanavi. L'fnei bo yom Hashem agor v'ameya. So usually this is understood, the classic, that Eliyahu Navi is coming to identify Mashiach. And the Rambam also in Sefer Malachim says that Eliyahu Navi has to do with Mashiach. And basically this is like the Chabad version of Mashiach. I don't know where Eliyahu Navi is there exactly, but it's this idea of Nevuah connecting with Nisim, because Eliyahu was a Navi of Nisim, right, more than any other Navi, or Elisha and Eliyahu and Elisha together. There's the Nisim, and when you have Nevuah plus Nisim, then you have Yitzhak and Shayim, the Tzachadash Bachav, you have the Makois, you have Eren Nislois. That's the Chabad version, working with Eliyahu Navi as Nisim. But there's another version, Rav Kahana's version, is Eliyahu Navi in the sense of Pinchas Kanoah, Eliyahu's Pinchas, that through Kanois plus Nevuah equals Geula. And that's what's going on. I mean, today with the Ginsburg people and Duma was an act of symbolic violence. Again, I don't hold of it, but I can't say it's wrong because, again, it's one way of looking at things. It's a certain vision of how the Gula is supposed to come. It's like the ultra-Zionist Spitz Zionists It has to do with Yair, even though Rav Kahana was a Beitarist, but Lechi, Ram Stern also gave his life. He didn't think he would be able to actually...
Rabbi Schneider?
Yes, sir.
Avram Stern is your cousin, I believe, or something?
It's true. Ram Stern, we're related, yes. Maybe I'm also part of the story, even though I'm very far from being a militant person. Not at all. I'm a Westerner, and the Rebbe said the whole world would be captured by Mashiach without one shot. But in any case, he gave his life, and it's symbolic, because he wanted to meir people that we have to fight the British because they're not letting Jews in, and he wanted to ally himself, even with Mussolini and Hitler, to get the Jews out of Europe, to save them. So, I think Rav Kahana was, in a certain sense, a student of Yair. Even I don't think he ever mentioned him, to the best of my knowledge, because he identified more with Jabotinsky. But in any case, that's the thing. You have Nevuah and Kanais, and I just want to say about those, without mentioning any names, about those who are against Chabad and against Zionism, against any form of Mashiach that pops up, until they're waiting for the Mashiach that they imagine, that they insist has to come, even though he's not around at all. I just want to remind them that it says at the end, the last words of Malachi Pen, Avoi V'Kisi Es Ha'oretz Chaim. They never heard of the meteor. The meteor is on its way. Hashem is saying, look, if you don't want to work with Eliyahu Navi, if you don't want to work with any version of the Gula that I'm sending you, not Chabad, not Kahana, so watch out. The game is not going to go on forever. The meteor is on its way. Get our act together somehow, and let Mashiach come. Amen. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Schneider.